Trae Young has been a very polarizing player as it pertains to this season, because coming into this year, the Atlanta Hawks stacked up their team with some nice additions such as Gallinari, Rajon Rondo, Bogdanovic, and a couple of other key players were also set to return, such as Clint Capella, to the starting lineup. And that led to many people, including myself, putting expectations on Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks to make the postseason. But as we saw in the beginning of the season, the Hawks had some really rough slumps. Obviously, Trae Young played terrible for a stretch, and I made a video called "What Happened to Trae Young?" I stated I believe his confidence was just shaken, and I think he will get back into groove later on in the season as he builds chemistry with his teammates that he had not built at the time of that recording. But ever since then, the Hawks have been playing exceptional, and currently they are 4th in the Eastern Conference, and they are 3 games above 500. But if you go online, you will find numerous posts of people disrespecting Trae Young, and even some people overrating Trae Young, putting him in conversations among the top 5 point guards in the NBA, which is just absurd. And that begs the question that I want to ask in this video. Is Trae Young actually a great player, or is he overrated? But before we get started with this video, make sure you guys go and check out the latest episode of the Overtime podcast. It is on that channel. A card should be on the screen right about now. And without further ado, that's the only plug I want to make. Let's get started with this Trae Young video. Now, if you follow me on social media, and hell, even if you just subscribe to the channel, I appreciate it if you want to subscribe, by the way, because I need some subscribers. But regardless, if you've been following me, you know my history with Trae Young. I've been very critical of him, especially ever since last year, because as great as his numbers were last year, I thought he was a bit overrated just because of his numbers. People weren't really considering the fact that he's not that impactful as his numbers suggest. He's not a great defender, he turns it over a little bit too much, and he takes bad shots that he should not be taking, which consistently does disrupt the flow of their offense. But as it pertains to this year, I said coming into the season, the Hawks gave him pieces to work with. You got Danilo Gallinari, who was coming off of a solid year in which he was a good contributor on a surprising Oklahoma City Thunder playoff team. Then you look at Rajon Rondo, who's coming off of a great run with the Los Angeles Lakers in the postseason. You also have Bogdanovic, who though wasn't contributing to postseason appearances like the other 2 names that I mentioned, he still has a variety of moves and ways that he can impact an offense, and the Hawks could use that. As Trae Young, though he is a great ball handler, you want to have other guys who can also do that responsibility so Trae Young can grow as a player, which makes the offense far less predictable. Let's not forget you also have other players on the team who were expected to get better and some to return from injury, such as Clint Capella, who is a solid starting big in the NBA. He may not be top 10 at his position, but he's still somebody that can do the necessary needs, such as protect the rim, catch lobs, and just be a force down low. And also, let's not forget the young players on the team such as DeAndre Hunter and John Collins. Also Cam Reddish, if you want to throw him in there. Those guys were expected to get better, and in the case of DeAndre Hunter, he has taken a huge step forward this year in the games that he's played. And that's been an issue with this Hawks team that a lot of people overlooked: the injuries and inconsistencies with the players on the roster. Rajon Rondo missed a lot of time, and when he played, he wasn't even that good. Let's not forget Bogdanovic also missed time due to injury, as well as Danilo Gallinari. So a lot of the pieces that they picked up in the offseason weren't even available for certain parts of the season. And in the case of Rajon Rondo, I actually want to touch on that a bit, because that was somewhat of an L of a pickup. Because sure, Rondo is always a great pickup when it comes to his IQ alone, along with his heightened play come postseason time. Let's just be honest, in the regular season, Rondo is a very mid, sometimes bad point guard to have on your roster due to his inability to shoot the ball. And sure, you could always wait until the playoffs come to give him a real role in the offense, but let's just be real here. Rondo is needed for the playoffs, and the Hawks, even at this moment, despite them being at the 4th seed, are not just some shoe-in for a playoff opportunity. At that time, they were not even 500, so the decision to trade Rondo made perfect sense in my personal opinion. But as it pertains to Trae Young, of course the Hawks were going to have issues when it came to him leading that team. especially when you consider all the other things that I said earlier with the injuries and inconsistencies on the roster. But there's another aspect of Trae that a lot of people forget. That's just him as a player. Trae has his flaws. Let's start off with the first one. Defense. Trae Young's arguably the worst defender at his position, at least among the starting point guards. I actually remembered the game they played against the Warriors recently. I believe in the last 5 minutes, Trae Young did not play, and the reason being because he's terrible on the defensive side of the ball and is such a liability that you just don't want him on the court when you have the lead in that kind of situation. Which is a really bad thing, that your best player can't be on the court because of how bad he is on the defensive side of the ball in a situation like that. That's just straight up unacceptable, I cannot lie to you. And then as it pertains to his playmaking, it's a little bit overrated, because when you look at what John Collins said earlier on in the season, that Trae Young needs to get him and a lot of others involved in the offense a little bit more, that's where his playmaking needs to be criticized, because Trae Young as a playmaker just spams pick and rolls all day with Clint Capella and John Collins, or sometimes John Collins will do a pick and pop. It's a little bit too basic, and that's why John Collins can't really get that much better than where he is right now unless Trae Young actually gets others involved in the offense, maybe play some off ball. Because if you look at a guy like Steph Curry, and I hate to compare the two, even though Trae Young is no Steph Curry and will never be that, but for the sake of just what I'm trying to prove here, I'm gonna use Steph as an example. Because when you have a guy like Steph who's as great of a shooter as he is, the best way to use him at times is off ball. And that's how you can really play make for others, because when Steph is off ball, he completely eliminates whoever is guarding him. And whenever he gets the ball in some possessions, all the attention is on him, which opens up opportunities for others to flourish. That's why Kelly Oubre can get shots. That's why Draymond Green can get shots. That's why Klay Thompson can be as efficient as he is when he's on the court with Steph Curry, or KD dominating the 2017 finals in ways that we've never seen before, because the Steph gravity is real. And now when you look at a guy like Trae Young, sure, you're not Steph Curry, but at the end of the day, bruh, you still have a ways to go as a playmaker. You can do pick and rolls all day, and sure, Capella's numbers are going to look good because of it, and John Collins is going to get some athletic plays out of the pick and roll because he's just that explosive. But when you become that simple, it becomes predictable at a point in time, because in a league where switching is becoming a main priority, you can't just spam pick and rolls on every single play and expect it to work to the best of its ability each and every time. You have to be more creative with your offensive approach. And another thing about his playmaking is that he does turn the ball over quite a few times. I cannot lie. Trae Young last year actually even led the league in turnovers. This year, I'll admit he did get a little bit better, but as it pertains to his overall game, that is still something that I would like to see fixed. But despite my many criticisms that I do have for Trae Young, I will admit when I am wrong. Trae Young can be an impactful player and can contribute to wins. I don't believe that he's somebody that can't be your #1 option on a championship team, because it's too early to determine stuff like that. At the end of the day, Trae Young is a fairly young player in his 3rd season in the NBA. And right now, with the Hawks giving him the talent that we all know he needed on his roster to compete in the Eastern Conference, he's in the playoffs and is the 4th seed in the East. So when I see posts that ask if he's better than Lonzo Ball, I can't just come to the conclusion that he's an overrated player when people are asking questions of that manner. Yes, Trae Young does have holes in his game. Yes, it is annoying to see Trae Young draw stupid fouls. Yes, Trae Young can be overrated by a few people, but you have to understand that every NBA player is going to have that audience that overrates them anyways. And as it pertains to the NBA community, Trae Young wasn't even an all-star this year. So to me, I think Trae Young, if anything, is a bit underrated. So is Trae Young great or overrated? He surely isn't overrated in my book, because after the stuff I've seen online over the last couple of weeks, I gotta say, man, he's just a great player that people love to shit on. But let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. I would love to know what you guys think. I will interact with as many people as possible. Do not forget to drop a like if you enjoyed this video. And most of the people that actually watch my videos are not subscribed. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and press the bell for post notification if you enjoyed this content. But you guys stay safe and have a blessed day. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Peace.